All right. I think we're ready. Thanks, Chad, for letting me know. I just want to make sure they were already shut down over there. I don't like starting before they shut down, so I appreciate it. Good to see you, Tom and Chad. Just hanging out. Gonna do Balvenie Doublewood 17 whiskey oak sherry oak. Sounds really, really good. Have had the Doublewood 12 before. Wasn't really too into it. It wasn't really my cup of tea. Hopefully, this will be a completely different ball game with more age. I mean, I figure for the price difference, you'd hope it's better. That's for sure. We're also going to look at this puppy. Lucky enough to get the last bottle of a Kilchoman 2008 vintage. It's a 7-year first fill bourbon cask on this puppy. This should be pretty damn good as well, if I'm not mistaken. Haven't tried it. Just poured it out a little while ago. Let it sit out for a bit. Do you have a little water? Don't tell Mr. Lee on the ready if we feel obliged to partake. Hey, Lightness, good to see you around too. Yep. Hey, good to see you, Scotch for Dummies. Thanks for stopping by, and Kenneth. And yeah, thanks for giving me the shout out on those videos. It's kind of funny though, because what happened was I usually go through and, when I get toward the end of the bottle, I thought, you know what, I better say some of this so I can do like an 8-minute video for people that don't want to, sit through a long show. The only problem though is that when I finally get time to do it, which doesn't happen too often. I work full time. I've got a 9-year-old daughter. You know how it goes. So finally get the time to do it, and I felt like I was rushing through it, trying to get through. And I tried to sit down and do three or four videos at one time, and even after I did them, I wasn't sure how well it went. It felt like I was rushing it. So I thought, maybe this isn't right. And sure enough, as soon as I closed it, I had people giving me thumbs down right away. So I had a feeling something wasn't quite right with it. So I thought, you know what, it's just not worth. To me, this is a fun thing. I want to keep it fun, keep it as real as I can. And for me, I think to do it justice, I got to take my time. And if it means sitting down with you guys, late as hell, and on a Thursday, and hopefully some other days I'll get a chance to do, an hour show here and there. But this is probably the best format, I think, because I'm not an editor. I don't have time to do the editing and all the magic Drew does. It's amazing that he can do what he does for the Scotch for Dummies. And being one person, this is a tough thing to do by yourself. I'm lucky enough to be able to maintain just doing some reviews here and there, and taking an hour or so and hanging out with you guys. So I think I'm just going to keep it at that. If someone offers to do some editing and maybe make an 8-minute video out of some of the stuff I've got, then I would definitely send them a raw video to mess with. But that would be something that someone would have to do, like, just for fun. Not something that I have the time, unfortunately, to really get into. But let's get into some whiskey, because I'm in a good mood finally. Oh, and thanks, Mom, for the shirt. It's funny, I saw this. I think Sean, one of the Scotch for Dummies, has the same exact one. Yeah, so I guess great minds think alike with that. And thanks for the shout out, Loch Ness, and good to see you, Donner, too. Yeah, one of the whiskeys I had at a bar was a Doublewood 12, and it kind of reminded me of the Macallan, just the basic 12, not the double cask. It was just I think a single 12. Not a bad whiskey, but just not a lot going on other than some nice sweet notes and some woody, elements. And that's really what I got, and being an Isle boy, Campbelltown boy too, it just seemed like it lacked a little something extra for me. So when I got this, there's one thing I noticed right off the bat. I want to ask you guys if you've experienced this with specifically Balvenie. And also Bunnahabhain does this. I'm not sure what it is, but they have not. There's got to be a reasoning behind why they do this, but they pick the most thinnest what's the word for it? Very thin corks that they're really easy to take out. I'm almost afraid there's too much oxygen getting out of the bottle. I don't know if they do that because they think that their bottles need more oxygen. I noticed the Bunnahavens are all like that too, no matter which, if it's travel retail exclusive, if it's just the basic 12. Because when I go to a Kilchoman with their corks, man, they use a thicker one. It's wider, and it actually does, I think, a much better job keeping the liquid oxygen free. I don't know if because it's peated versus not, if that makes a difference. If you guys have noticed that, let me know. And tell me if you have the same experience. It seems like certain distilleries like a real thin, easy cork, and some like a real hard core, which I prefer because I feel like it's really getting closed. I think Lagavulin uses a thicker cork. I think Bowmore might have been one of the thinner ones. But just let me know if you've noticed that too. I just don't understand why that is. If it's a peated sherry thing, versus, or if if this is a distillery choice, or how that is. Thomas and JW has the smallest corks they break all the time. That's the worst, man. The only cork I ever had break, sadly, was a Tomatin Decades. It's a great, fantastic bottle. I think the reason why it broke is it literally was from like 2005, I think, or 15. I can't remember. It must have been 2015 because it was old, but it wasn't like ancient or anything. And I think it sat there for a good 3 years before anyone touched it. I got it. It was a dusty box, and took it home. And as soon as I took that cork out, it got stuck and disintegrated, and it fell in. And I had to get creative where I had to use unbleached coffee filters and literally get like a couple big pint glasses and filter out everything to get all that junk out of it. Still a great bottle. Still had a really nice experience with it, but wow, that was a learning experience of how to get a cork that's completely obliterated in chunks and just destroying the whiskey. It just unbleached coffee filters. If hopefully you never have to go with that, but if you ever do, that's the way to do it. I think proper, without losing anything from the whiskey, without putting anything in there that you don't want to be there, and doing it justice. So, hey, Gawkin, good to see you. He's going to do a tasting tomorrow. Oh, awesome. Yeah, I'm kind of jealous of Swami. He had, oh, I forgot the name, and I'm really bad with names unless I see them often, like Mickey Heads, John Campbell from Lefroy. But the guy that does Kilchoman, I want to say David, but I'm sure I'm messed not. It was John McClellan or Anthony. I think it was Anthony Willis. Actually, that's who it was. It was Anthony Willis. Anthony Willis he was on his show not so long ago, and had to sit down. I haven't got to see it yet. I need to sit down and see that, and see how that went. But that's going to be nice. I don't know how he does it. If the distillery reaches out to him and says, "Hey, we've noticed you doing a lot of our bottles. Would you, like to speak with him?" Or if Swami has to reach out to the distillery and say, "Hey, I've been doing a lot of reviews for you guys. I'd love to have a talk with you." But I have to sort that out because I noticed a lot of these guys are able to do that, and I haven't even done that. But I'm not sure if I wanted to do like the whole interview thing. It's kind of a whole other thing. Anyway, let's get to the juice. We're going to start with the sherry. I always recommend, if you're going to go and do a tasting on your own, even if it's just for fun, always leave your peated stuff last. Even if the sherry is a sherry bomb, it's 60%. Even if this is only a 40% bottle of peat smoke, do the peat smoke last. You will thank me later. I swear to God. All right. Let's take a look. Now, this guy is only 43%, surprisingly. I think it runs around 130-ish on the pricier side. The cool thing, though, is double wood. It is two distinct casks. It's whiskey oak, ex-bourbon, and sherry oak, which is, the ex-sherry part of it. And It's basically the next version, they say, of the Double Wood 12. So I kind of know what I'm in for in a way, but not really as far as the quality difference should be pretty significant because the price is so different. I think it's about double, if I'm not mistaken. It's been a while since I've seen the prices on it, but hey, no problem, man. Yeah, I've been trying to study up a little bit here and there on the Scottish Gaelic. It's not an easy language to remember, but I've got some of it down. When I was doing a new distillery, one of the worst whiskeys I've ever tasted. ABHAINN is the first word. DEARG is the second word, and it's strange because it's like the Altavania type of that name. The NN is like a Y. The BH is always a soft V. So some of these rules I have to remember, and just to pronounce some of this stuff, it's pretty crazy. But yeah, the Virks. I want to say it was Virks. What was that? How was he pronounced that again? Uh, it's been so long since I've seen this one. I have to write it out to see the name. It was one of they're one of these distilleries that just did an inaugural release, and I want to say that the Lisa Bay one was good. I did like the Lisa Bay inaugural release. That was a good one. But this other guy, and I don't want to mess it up. I'll probably won't be able to find it. Yeah, Avenjerg. Avenjerg. Because the BH is a soft V and the ANIINN is like a Avenjerg. Yeah, that's a tough one. But the juice was not that good, so I would stay away until they do some changes there. That's for sure. Let's get back to the double wood here. Nice color. I don't think this has got any extra coloring or anything crazy. One thing that was a little disturbing about the bottle is the actual label is really easy to move. It's like they didn't glue it down or something. I don't know what the hell that's about, but it's kind of on there. It's barely on there. That was almost like they taped it or something. I'm not sure what that's about, but it smells right. That's the good news. Yeah, I would sincerely doubt they would bother with 17 years and having a sherry influence. That color is definitely not out of question. I'd say that's pretty dead on. Oh man, it smells great. The cool thing about this one is I notice a complexity difference right off the bat versus the 12 double wood. No questions asked. It's completely more complex out of the gate because it's just the floral properties alone come out really strong. The honeysuckle, there's some heather in there, but you get some really nice sweetness balanced with it. I think it's coming also the woody notes from the bourbon cask. That piece of it's there. Some spices even. Not sure if I would go as deep as a cinnamon, maybe more like a nutmeg. If you guys have had the this particular one, Double Wood 17, let me know what you thought of it. If it was in your wheelhouse, or if it was something that was like, not really my cup of tea, or if it was disappointing in any way. So far, the nose is dead on. I like it. 43 kind of makes me a little nervous because everyone likes 46, 48 if they can get it, but oh man, I love a sweet kind of a really nice. I want to say citrus. It's so well balanced, though. It's kind of hiding behind this spice and sweetness. I want to say oranges and lemons in there too. I have a feeling we're going to get a little marmalade on the palate, but that's just a guess. Yeah, Gawkin, that's the one. Avangig, I think is how you say it. That was bad stuff, dude. That was formaldehyde, like rubbing alcohol and cement, paint cement. I mean, it was just rough, man. I would not drink that. I even like the Gavin green, which I'm not a huge fan at all of green or Gavin, and I would actually drink that before I would drink the Avengerg stuff, man. That was just wrong. That was just wrong. He does love Loch loves Balvenie, but a little overpriced in Ontario. Yeah, I can imagine. It's rough. Like the prices here, just to give you an idea of what we're dealing with here in Maryland, at least. I can't speak, of course, to other places, but the Caribbean cask is 65, and I think it's a good price. I think that's deserved. It's 14-year Caribbean cask, good whiskey. I'm surprised it's not like more like 75, $80, to be honest with you. 65, I think, is a good deal. This one's 150. That's pricey, but it's 17 years. You got 100 for the peat week 14, 150 for the peated cask 17, 220 for the port cask 21, which I've heard mixed on that, and the tune, which is where you're getting the real high dollar stuff. 1509 batch 4 is 375, which I'm not going to be tasting that anytime soon. So it's on the wish unicorn list. So that would be awesome just to have a little sample. Maybe I'll get lucky. But this is really, really well done. I'm gonna get some bananas and some tropical stuff on here in the nose too. I think having a little sip brought more of the nose out, because I just wanted to get a little more of everything. Let's go back to the palate. I warmed up with a 15 Balvenie sherry single barrel, another great whiskey. This is really up there too. Really nice, creamy, spicy though. Some syrup, like maple syrup. Whiskey of the year in November. Oh my goodness. I have to think about that. Let's see. Trying to get more. There is the marmalade is there, but it's extremely on the farther back end on the finish a little bit. It's a little dry, but it's not overly dry. It's not. It's and the pith might have a little bitterness, but it's not overwhelming. It's not bad. It's balanced well with all the other notes. I might like the nose a little bit better, but let me have a little more of the palate here. It's nice. Still getting a little of that heather on the palate. The vanilla from the bourbon is there. Not overly sweet though. People that don't like a real heavy sweet dram might not be as much into it because it does have some sweetness, but I don't think it's as bad as like if you were going like Glen Scotia or Auchentoshan or something like that level of sweetness. It's not that much, but I think the woody tones elements balance all that out. I love the spice on it too. Reminds me of like a creamy pastry with like icing, cinnamon. Not too bready or doughy or anything though. Not sourdough. Definitely more on the sweeter side. A little pricey though. I wish it was since I saw it was like 150. That is on the high side. Um, is it worth that, man? That's tough, man. I'm thinking more like 130 would be a fairer price, maybe. Um, that's tough though. Tough to gauge in Maryland. Sometimes our stuff is extremely high, and sometimes it's low. Loch Ness has got the double wood for 98 and the Caribbean for 130. That's got to be Canadian prices or something, because that's crazy high, man. Yeah, I think I remember you were in Ontario or something, if I don't remember correctly. Um, this is much, much, much better than double 12 all day. So that part is, I'm not disappointed. It does live up to the hype. Maybe wish it was like $10 cheaper, maybe 10 to 20 at the most. But damn good whiskey. Glad I got it. The finishing has a little dryness to it. I'm not really all there, but the sweetness does last too. So it's not completely dried up. Nothing, It's solid. Let's have a little drop. I'm not going to put much at all. Just see if anything comes out or goes away. Any differences? Just literally like a drop. See what we get. The nice finish too. It's medium. It's medium. Hard to give a score because there's a couple things I'm not maybe completely into, but there's a lot of great things about it. I'm leaning towards a 4 to 4.25. Kind of tamed the nose too much with the water. Get a little more of the floral. Maybe more tropical on the nose, like pineapple, coconut kind of thing, which is interesting. It's not a bad thing. Just a lot different than what I was getting before. Huh. Tame down the creaminess, unfortunately. It's 43. It's really, hard for it to stand up with water. That's why I wish it was 46. Because if I put a couple of drops, it's not going to do a whole lot comparatively, I think, to it. But still damn good. I prefer it neat by far. And if it was 130, I think I would buy it all day long. It's hard to get a really good 17, 18-year-old though for anything less than 130. So it's not completely out of question. They do sell really well, so I mean I can't really knock them if that's what people are willing to pay and that's what the supply and demand is. And that might be it might be just the way it is. I would say the best I've had this year for me is the Octomore 7.1 and the Kilchoman PX. Ooh, see that damn Swami. Hey Swami, that damn Swami's had that PX, and I need to get my hands on that. I gotta get my hands on that. Oh, I would kill for it. I would kill for it. But as you can see, I'm building my empire of Kilchoman back here. I've got another brick in the wall. It's a big, beautiful blue brick. I'm looking forward to it. I do want to get the Santiago Bay, which is it's one of those travel retails, I believe. It's hard to find. Cool Point. I'd love to get my hands on that one. That damn PX cask, Swami. Any cask I can get it from Kilchoman, I would die for. And yeah, Swami has let his feelings known of the Balvenie. I'm not gonna go as far as that, but I do think it might need to take 20, $30 off of it. I will agree with that piece of it. But the taste of this one's actually a hell of a lot better than the 12 double wood. I have to give them some credit with that. Can't hold anything water related though. It's 43%. Don't touch it with anything. If you can get it for 130, it'd be a hell of a lot better. And still a good dram. I think I'd give it a 4 out of 5. It's better than average. It could be a lot better and not as, if it wasn't as dry, if it had, it's got the, I mean, the age is just decent, but the ABV's got to be up to 46, 48. Got to be able to play a little more around with it, I think. But this is my third, I think, recent Balvenie, and it kind of reminds me a lot of McKellen, where they do have some misses, they do have some hits, they do have some home runs. It's just finding out which of all, and they have a lot to offer as far as different like varieties of things. But you got to really be careful when you're shelling out, money of which are the ones to go for. That triple cast 12 is a hell of a lot cheaper. It's $60 travel retail for 1 liter. That is really tasty and a lot more cost effective than this guy. Even though this might not be as prestigious or aged or whatever, but the taste factor is great with that guy. I would go with the triple cast 12 all for 60. I think it's a great deal. But some of these other guys, you got to tread lightly on that good deal. I gotta show Swami's comment there. They didn't like it when you say retarded, Swami. You got to be careful about that. Oh, good to see you, Daniel. I'm glad you got to stop by. How's the moose jaw? 15 is $2.75 in Quebec. Jesus. Yeah, there's some crazy prices, I have to say. But, well, let's go on to the peated wonder, I have to say. It's been sitting out for a while. Always a great presentation with Kilchoman. They're consistent. They're not overly flashy, but they get their point across that you're going to get a good quality product. I like it. I love their bottling, and whenever you see the non-chill filter, natural color, they give you the age. It's 7 years. This is a 2008, the last bottle they had. There are other vintages that are available that are different. The 2007 is also, I believe, a first fill bourbon like this one. The 2009 is a first fill bourbon and I think a first fill sherry. It has sherry in it, which I would love to have. I wish to God they had the 2009, but I ain't gonna bitch. So there you go. I figure, it can't be that bad, right? Looking at some comments here. Oh, I call it how I see it. Yeah, I hear you. You got the 2009. Ooh, how was the sherry with that? Did you really get into that? Because that sounds damn good. I mean, I'm sure this is going to be really good too. But if I can have a little bit of sherry in my peat, then I'm even more happy. I'm not going to touch it yet. I'm going to go neat. This guy is 46%. That's really solid. That's what Balvenie should have done. Not 43. You should go with the 46. That's just a little more room to work if you're, need a little water to make it more interesting. Swami is malted in Montreal. That's his. I think it's his real name. I don't know if that's his real name or not. I think it is. Hell, I might even be calling him by some other nickname for all I know. My name's not Telex, I'll tell you that. But yeah. It's an exact mix of Machine Bay. Oh, Macure Bay and 8 years. Just wonderful. Huh. But Macure Bay, does it have sherry? I didn't think Macure Bay had any sherry. I know that one of these vintages, maybe I had it reversed. Maybe the 2006 had the, I'm sorry, 2007, maybe that had the sherry in it. And the 9 didn't. But one of them had a sherry as well cask in there. So I'm wondering if that's I don't know. have to tell me what you if there's any sherry in the one that you. Oh, it is. Oh, okay, that's it. So the Moncure Bay has sherry too. I didn't know that. I thought it was just straightforward bourbon. Well, I learned something today, huh? I haven't had a Moncure Bay in a while, and I don't have my own bottle yet. That's on my to-do list. That's one I have to pick up. That's going to be one of the next ones I think I'm going to have to take care of. Just not getting into the Bowmores as much. It's up and down with those guys. I might have to clear off that area and go for maybe something else. Um, I don't know. It's iffy. I'm kind of trying to hang, but the 18 and the 15, it's been so long since I first had them, and I came back and tried them. It was a little too thin of a mouth coat. Didn't talk about the mouth coat in the Balvenie. It's medium. It's not too thin, but it's not thick either. Now this guy looks like it's going to be thicker, which I like. The Kilchoman is notably not a thin whiskey. It's assertive where it needs to be. It's I mean, as soon as I pop the cork, I could smell the peat. It doesn't hide. It definitely makes itself known. Oh, I just love Isla. I wish I could just swim in their malting barley floor. Somebody just grab my legs, and I'll just open my mouth, and someone pushes me, and I'll go, that's eat all the barley that's on the floor. Oh my goodness. Uh, just love that. It's like a barley, that malt barley. Kilchoman's got it's very particular to that distillery. You can't get that from Ardbeg. You can't get it from Lafroig. You can't get it anywhere. I guess it's the farm that they get all their. I can't remember if they do it in Port Ellen or where they get their stuff from, but man, it's good. Hey, Whiskey Scout, good to see you. If that is the same Kilchoman PX Swami gave me a taste in OKC, it was yummy. I bet it was, man. I've got to get my hands on that somehow. I just don't know where to go to get it. No one sells it around here. I guess I'll have to. That's one I'll probably have to order overseas and probably pay some crazy ass shipping because it's probably cast strength. But if it's cast strength Kilchoman, it's worth it by far. Oh, really nice. Subtle fruit is there, but I can't pick out which kind just yet. But the peat smoke, of course, are the first, but you also get really nice, like the hay, some straw. Ooh, man. It reminds me of that Bruichladdich Scottish barley in a way, which I love as well. Maybe some little bit of lemon, but also some with the zest, some like nice sweetness with it. Some like lemon icing, like those lemon. And I usually don't like lemon, but this is okay. It's the way it's blended in. It's like a nice lemon icy cake, but with like a really good balance of sugar sweetness with it. Huh. Oh, I just love their smoke. I could just smell this all day. Huh. It's a medium mouth coat. Not as thick as I thought it was going to be, but not bad. Ooh, okay. The peat's the first thing that hits you, and you're kind of like, "Where's my smoke?" Because I'm used to Kilchoman's like usually giving you a peat and a smoke pow from the get-go. This is interesting because it's got the peat up front. The smoke's there, but it comes later in the finish. Huh. Not as I don't want to say harsh as other Kilchomans. Not as potent. But I am used to the cast strength and the mature is like 50%. I'm used to my Kilchomans being a little more higher ABV, but 46 isn't bad. It's just funny because it's a little different than what I'm used to with with their range that I've had. I love how that the ash comes in on the side and the back with more smoke. Not as strong as with the peat smoke as other Kilchomans, which I think the age might have a little bit of a factor in there. Hopefully, the 7 years thing, when they get to the 10 year, I know they have a 10 year, but I have not had it. I think it's only available either in the distillery or over in Scotland. Has anyone had a Kilchoman 10 year yet? I think they just like announced something, but one thing I do love about the younger Kilchomans is the peat is so intense. It is really nice. So hopefully it doesn't dissipate too much once they get closer to the 10 year. But this one's a little milder than I expected it to be. Not bad. Don't take that as being bad. Just different. A little more of a vanilla, white chocolate creaminess with it, which I think the peat's, oh, there we go. The peat's there. Smoke is not as even though it kind of does come in the back, it's extremely subtle. This does not have the bonfire that a lot of Kilchomans have in the back, but a nice ash. It kind of reminds me of like some of the sweeter Ardbeg ones. Easy to drink, which could be a bad thing. I might go through this bottle too fast, but nice balance of the subtle fruit. It's not fruit forward by any means. The peat's forward, smoke in the back, a little bit of white pepper, not as near as much as a Talisker, but enough to have you notice a little bit of white pepper, a smidgen. Really nice, more on the heavier of the vanilla, the cream, the white chocolate, that type of oiliness is there. Not bad, just so different than other Kilchomans that I've had. Does any of that sound at all similar to the one you had? The Swami, the 2000. I think you said it was the 9, or was it completely different than what I'm describing? I'm just curious. The 12-year Oloroso Sherry cask is coming out in 2019. Oh, but oh man, that sounds incredible. Oh, he had it last week. 10-year bourbon cask stream. I need to watch that show, Swami, that you did with I think it was Anthony Wills. I think you had him on your show, or at least chat with him not so long ago. I'll have to take a look at that. Go to Chicago, folks. Yeah. If it was closer, I would be there in a heartbeat. But that's quite a drive from Annapolis, Maryland, man. That's quite a hike. Balvenie single barrels are good. Yeah, I agree there, Daniel. The 15 is probably, I think it's a tie with this. I mean, even though this has a little higher age, and it does have a good taste, I think I actually prefer the 15 sherry single barrel over the 17 double wood, maybe. Just a smidgen, like a 4.25 for the single barrel 15, maybe a 4 for this guy. I think it's a little drier because of all the wood that's going on here, but yeah, last week Telex. Oh, nice. Okay, yeah, I gotta pull that up, Swami, and take a look at your chat with him. How do you do that? Does Kilchoman actually approach you and say, "Hey, we noticed you're doing a lot of bottles. Would you want to talk with him?" Or did you have to reach out to the distillery and say, "Hey, I'd like to sit down with Anthony and have a chat. Does he have time?" I'm just curious of how that kind of stuff goes about, because I know a lot of these guys are doing a lot of these interviews and stuff, and I'm not sure if I would even want to do it, because I don't even know what I would ask the guy other than, tell me about your whiskey. But I'm just curious of how that kind of has to go about. If it's like a hard thing to set up or easy, or who approached to that kind of stuff. If you can share, if you can, or rather not, I understand. I know how it goes. It was mine and Julian's event. Julian. Uh, I don't know Julian. Does he go by a different name? Possibly. I met him last year. Oh, cool. Okay. Oh, so maybe. Okay, maybe you guys were at an event and just were lucky enough to run into him at the same one before and say, hey, let's get together later on sometime, maybe. Huh. That's cool. You're lucky as hell, man. the that would be an awesome chat, I'm sure. I just cannot wait to get my hands on a 10 and 12. I'm just hoping that the peat doesn't die with the age. And that's the funny thing. Once you like with Lefroy, I'm a huge fan, but once you get past the 18-year Lefroy, like I've had a 27, and I didn't like it near as much because it loses all the peat, which really is a big definer of that brand. That type. The 18, I think, is like the perfect sweet spot where it's. I've never had a 21, but I bet a 21 to 25 is probably when it starts going downhill. I wouldn't even bother with a 30 or 32. I really doubt it would have the same taste. Our big 23 actually, or 20 something actually, is pretty damn good though. So I guess I can't say that. Maybe the 21 to 23 is the sweet spot on some of those. But hopefully with this guy, it gets even better with the age. Mo says, I bet the party will be on the Kilchoman when he reaches 15. Wow. I can't wait to have a taste. I haven't seen any tins available here. I think Swami said he was able to get his hands on one, but probably have to order it or be lucky enough to find someone that's got something or sample or something. But yeah, it's gonna be a task to find. I think that guy. But anyway. Yeah, for first Phil Bourbon cask. Do I wish it had a little sherry influence in there? I do. I do miss that piece of it. It's not necessary for it to be great. So, that I think that's got that going for it. It's got a nice finish. It does. I wish it had more, maybe a little more smoke, but I do love the white chocolate buttery, like butter cookie, sugar cookie, um, that vanilla thickness coat on the finish though at the same time. So I wouldn't get that if it was too smoky, if it was more chocolatey or went that type of espresso kind of route. This is definitely on a lighter spectrum, but it's still intense, which is nice. It's a 4.5 easy, I'd say. If it was 48%, and if it had a little sherry in it, then I think it would be a 4.75, 5 out of 5. It'd be pretty perfect. But 4.5 on my scale is pretty damn good because I've given a lot of 2s and 3s over this past year. And I usually do wait to have a drink with you guys with the better stuff. I don't really go through the Gervons or the Invergordons or the Tinnick or things like that on camera because they're just kind of like 2.5. The local woman to be like a 2.5. You know what I mean? There's just doesn't really do a whole lot, and I don't want to sit there and drink it for a half hour or so. But this, on the other hand, this is a whole different ball game here. Somebody felt the same way about the Glen Scotia 15. You thought it was boring, huh? That's interesting. I'm surprised you didn't get more out of that one, Swami, to be honest with you. Did you do the Victoriana? Did you like the Victoriana a lot better? Because I noticed some people, I like the 15 better for my palate, but the people that aren't into the 15, they seem to adore the Victoriana. So I'm curious to see if you've had it and if you feel the same way, because I'm more of a 15 guy, but there's a lot of more people that are pro Victoriana, is not as much as in the 15. So lucky for me, the 15's cheaper. The double cask is nothing to sneeze at, too. I mean, it's not near as complex or as good, I think, as the 15, but it's still it's a 3.5, 3.75 even whiskey, especially for the price. It's like $50, I think. It's not bad, not hard to find, pretty easy. Good to see you, Gawker. Thanks so much for stopping by, and I know it's late for you, and thanks for hanging in there with me. I think I get to telework tomorrow, so I don't have to go in. It saves me 3 hours a day on the travel back and forth. Give me a thumbs up before you leave if you don't mind. I appreciate it. The good feedback is always hard to get sometimes. So. Oh, this Kilchoman is one of my favorites. Sorry about that. And then I'll have my phone still sound on. We'll turn that off. There we go. Scott's got the 12 triple cast. Yeah, you do. You do. It's really good. I actually enjoy it, especially for $60, man. That's like a great price for a 1 liter bottle too. The only bitch of the deal is you have to get it, duty free or travel retail or order it overseas. That's the pain of it. But $60, if you can, if you do have a buddy going overseas and doesn't mind picking up a little something or whatever. I mean, states have different laws and all that stuff, but if you can get your hands legally on a bottle, then I'm all for that price. It's a lot better than a lot of other Balvenies, I'm sure. Well, that's going to go definitely down as a good dram. It's just surprising how different it is. And that's one thing that's funny about Kilchoman. The only one I didn't really get into was the port cask matured. Hard to do an Isla port cask the right way, so I'm not knocking Kilchoman under any circumstances for that. But one great thing about them is if they touch a Sauternes cask, if they do the red wine, if they do a smoky, real heavy smoke like a Loch Gorm, or more of a sherry mix hybrid like a Snake, all of them are so different, but still so good at the same time. That's the great part of it. It's hard to find, especially for such a young distillery. I mean, Bowmore doesn't do that. Kalila doesn't do that. The Moke was okay. The unpeated, I only had the 17. I've heard the 15 is better, but the 17 was not my cup of tea. It's hard to find another distillery, but I can't think of a better young distillery than Kilchoman at this point. I've had a lot of inaugural releases over this past year, and even the good ones were like 3 stars. Like compared to these guys, average for me 4 to 4.25 typically on any bottle. Moncure Bay is another really good one I have had before. I don't have a bottle yet, but I'm going to get one. And 100% Isla might not be my wheelhouse. It's a little more floral and barley than that I get into, but people that love that kind of bottle are really into it. It's a little pricey. It's like 110, 120, but if you're into that, it's well worth it. Definitely worth the price. The only thing you might not be getting is the age yet, but you're getting power, and that's for these types of drams. I think that's what it takes, and they do it justice. I just hope when they do age that they keep that fire, that they keep that power in of the palate, because that's one thing I respect of Kilchoman a lot. So there you go. Well, thanks so much for stopping by, guys. I'm gonna have to wrap it up here. Do have to get up and work from home at least tomorrow. But thanks for stopping by as always. I really appreciate your all's time. And give me a thumbs up before you go if you don't mind. Subscribe if you haven't, if you haven't already. And we're gonna just keep it real, keep it to the this format. I know some of you guys don't like sitting for an hour to get something out of my reviews for a dram, but it's just the way I have to take my time and I have to do it right for I think everyone to get something out of it and then really enjoy it. Um, I know some of you like the shorter ones, but I just don't think I was doing it as well as I could if I had more time. So thanks so much, Jason, and Swami, and Loch Ness, and Gawkin, and Daniel, and anyone else, Mose. And always thanks so much for the thumbs up and the likes on Twitter, Mose. I'm going to try to get on Instagram and do some stuff there. I just got to figure out how to link the Instagram with the Twitter, with the YouTube, and post all at once. That's my next goal. Big shout out to Tosh. Tosh invited me to a whiskey expo here this last week. He's got a great restaurant. If you're ever in DC, look up Jinya, Jinya, Jinya. It's a ramen bar, and this guy has the best Japanese whiskey options I've ever seen. It's in DC. They have great food. I've had some of the chef specials like pork and they have like an actual egg in there, and you have your. I know it sounds like ramen, but I mean it's really good noodles and really good whiskey. He gave me a Glengoyne cask strength when I was there. Really well done. Loved that bottle. Tried some. It was Kaiko, Kaiko, is a newer Japanese distillery. Not so bad in the price, but really well done on the palate. It reminded me of a Yamazaki, Hibiki type of had that kind of vibe to it. If you're into that, I think you might dig it. And really nice guy. We went and had met with some Glenfiddich people. Had a really good distillers edition. Trying to remember. And thanks so much, Tracy, if you're watching. It was, I think, a 15-year distillers edition, Glenfiddich, cask strength, perhaps. I'm trying to remember, but it was one of the stars. Next, of course, to Highland Park. The Dark was really good. Tried, some that I was hoping was going to be better than expected, but they weren't. The Glenmora, the 25. They had it. It was good, but for 25 year, you're expecting a whole lot. For the price, it'd probably be better off getting like Glenfarclas 25. Be honest with you, just not my cup of tea. Some people, I'm sure, love it, but it really had a lot of fun in DC this past week, and that's why I missed the last show. But Tosh, if you're still out there, thanks so much for being kind and showing me around and introduced me to some of the McAllen people, and had a really good time, and hopefully get out to do a show at the that Jinya ramen bar in DC. Maybe do a live show there with you. I know he's not too big on getting on camera, but maybe I can get him to have a dram and talk him into it. Maybe after a couple. Thanks so much, Loch Ness. Short, sweet, and informative. Yeah, I think that I appreciate that. It's just really tough to get the time to do those the right way, and I don't have the editing skills, especially with video, and to even chop it up the right way and make it fluid. I'm more of a live show. Don't want to edit. You get what you get, and you don't get upset. it's like little kids. It's like you get what you get. You don't get upset. That's what I'm just trying to give to the masses. Just having fun and sipping some really good stuff. And I'll have a couple extra goodies hopefully soon. I still need to do a Cardio 18, and I do have this one. I'm gonna have to definitely. Buddy Roy Aquavite, I still have my Lafroig hand sample cask can drawing from June. I gotta crack that open with you and have a sip of that. But lots to do. And thanks so much, guys. Launch of off for now, and I hope to see you again soon. Maybe before Thursday if we're lucky, but if not, definitely Thursday. Ciao.